Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. It's been a big day at the top of the Premier League as Nottingham Forest title rivals Manchester City and Arsenal both dropped points, while the Reds beat West Ham 3-0 at the City Ground to make it 3 wins in a row. We'll discuss to what degree I'm actually joking, but regardless, Reds are up to third. So joining me for what should be a great post-match show is, first of all, Chris Aylmer for Forest All Over. Chris, good evening. How are you?
Fantastic. We're into third. Woods edging closer to that Premier League record. And yeah, life is brilliant. Yeah, I'm great. Yeah.
He's much better than an absolute fraud Haaland, who's killing my fantasy team. Yeah, what a hero. What a hero. Lewis McGugan, former Reds midfielder. How are you today?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Really good. What a day, eh? What a day.
What a day. What a day indeed. Kick us off, Lewis. What did you make of it in general?
I just think it's just a really such a positive place to be. I think everybody's buzzing, and I think that when we've spoke about numerous times on here about kind of the first 2 years and the struggles we have, I think it's just a great time to just take all the positives and to really enjoy the current form and the ride that we're on. And again, like I said, I know speaking to you, obviously text me before, and a lot of the fans have like, where could we go and what's the kind of ceiling for this team? But I think at this point in time, it's just let's just enjoy where we are right now, and a result and a performance that we did today. It's just something that we've been wanting for a very long time. So I think it's just really let's take the moment what it is and be thankful that we're a part of this ride.
Yeah, you can't help but enjoy it. Like at the game today, I realised it's the first time I've heard Forest All Over the World at the end of the game since like we beat Man United, and it's mad that now we're third in the Premier League, and I haven't even missed that many home games. But it's all come together. It was so great at the end, like properly joyous. Just before I throw it to Chris, thank you very much to Simon Foster, James Donk, and Mark Harrison for signing up for membership. Very good of you all, gents. Thanks very much for that. Chris, you were watching from afar back in Ireland. Like Lewis says, just enjoying it, joyous. How are you feeling?
I just felt like we were in complete control the whole game. It reminded me of the game last season, except a level up. Last season, they were down to 10 men at some point. We've punished them 1-2-0. This season, 3-0. And like, I don't know, even the first half, I know they got a man sent off and that helped us, but first half, I felt like we were in complete control, and I wasn't as nervous as I have been during the other games this season. And I was just so, I don't know, really proud to see us play brave football as well. I think the bravery that we in tight spaces and creative bravery in the game today is what got us over the line, and just took it to West Ham. And great to hear the City Ground roaring again as well. It was louder than I kind of heard it before, obviously from a distance, but it just unbelievable results. And yeah, it's like, I suppose Lewis could probably touch on this back in his Billy Davies days. Momentum is a really big thing in sport, and sometimes you play week in, week out, and you win and win and win, and you just don't feel like you're going to lose. I just didn't feel like we're going to lose, and I haven't felt that way all season. Even in the game we lost, I felt like we were going to get something from that. So it's just great.
Yeah, I watched it with Fodders, who is a real nervous watcher. I didn't realise. It was like, it was 1-0 second half. He's like, we need another goal here. We need another goal here. These are going to score. I was like, mate, they're not. I'm really like, and I'm a pretty nervous watcher. I felt totally relaxed about it and pretty chilled out, certainly. Just pick up on what Chris said there, Lewis, around momentum. It felt like the players, like confidence was so high. Like Callum Hudson-Odoi, I thought at one point he was laughing, after about an hour when they were doing that back and forth. That would really kill the West Ham players. But in terms of confidence, when you're a part of that, Lewis, it can't feel much better, can it?
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at the celebrations for Aina's goal, but also Hudson-Odoi, if you look at the celebrations, you look at the players coming from the bench and to joining in, you can see that changing room is a very, very good place to be. And when a change room is like that, when everyone is feeling kind of the top of their game, when you look at you, as Chris said, you're going into every game now, and you're expecting or you're hoping that we're going to have a good result. And today, I think, was the big thing. I spoke to a lot of fans pre-game, and I think the big thing was for me, I think we've had a really good start, but I think the only thing that we've probably missed is a real dominant home performance, and that's probably the only thing that we're missing. And I think today we got that in abundance. I know West Ham wasn't I'm not sure what to really say about them. I was quite shocked of how bad they were. Really, yes, I know they went down to 10 men, but I also looked 10 minutes into the game. I felt that looking the way they played the back three, which it looked like, and their front three are Paqueta, Bowen, and Somerville. It just looked flat from their side from minute one, and it was one of them games. I said to Jules, I was watching it with Julian Bennett, and I said to him that if we get the first goal, this could be a very comfortable day for us. And I think that's how it played out, because I just didn't feel that they looked like they had that front foot energy to really go and stamp their authority on the game. But again, I think our performance and the way we went about work at times in the first half, it was just kind of attack vs defence. So I think we have to take as many opponents as possible, and you can only play against what's in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not a West Ham podcast, but I'm sure there's a few going on about, Paqueta and a few of those lads who look like they properly gave up to me. But obviously we put them in that position, certainly. Almost 700 people watching in 6 minutes, which is mad. So do us a favour and hit like on the stream. That will make a big difference. We go back to the start of the day, Chris, and we'll go through it all in terms of goals and everything. Morgan came back into the team, which was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. Anderson's played a lot of minutes and dropped out. What did you make of the team? And then we'll go straight into Morgan's contribution, because he just hit the ground running, I thought.
Yeah. As far as the team goes, I think that, back four, same as always. And Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Wood, that's our starting sort of template. Front three, Elanga, obviously we wanted more from, we got it today. But yeah, delighted. Dominguez has earned his spot in number 8 as well. He was brilliant. But as far as Gibbs White goes, yeah, straight back in there for me. He's one of our best players. Him and Murillo are probably our best players. He always goes straight back in for me. And yeah, today, unbelievable. Even just like you look at some of the stuff he did first half, there was a moment I remember he picked up the ball in a tight space on the right-hand side, turned outside of the boot to Yates, and then Yates sent it down to Hudson-Odoi, and we ended up winning the free kick from that when Gibbs White got it back. He rallied up the crowd when he was doing the press first half. And the bit for me, which was, particularly good, was just his passion throughout the day. That ball over the top of the goal, I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. That was unbelievable. And yeah, I felt like he was really straight away back in it, straight getting the crowd on side as well. Yeah, just unbelievable. Delighted to have him back.
Yeah, he's a very different kind of number 10 to Anderson. It felt like a very good hour's work from him. What did you make of him, Lewis, and his pass for the first goal? How big was that moment? Was that?
Yeah, I feel like he came back in and was the Gibbs White that we've been kind of see on a frequent basis. I think it was quite. I think if you look at from Anderson's point of view and a player's point of view, I think it was a bit harsh in terms of him coming out, because I think that he's contributed really well in terms of when the absence of Gibbs White. But I look at it, and then again, that's where we are in terms of our squad, in terms of the depth, in terms of the competition for places, is that everyone's chomping at the bit. We're now replacing people. People are coming back in, and we don't feel like it's a real big drop off in terms of personnel and performance. And I think that's only a good thing going forward.
Yeah, I suppose the question isn't for today, but for next week, like picking that midfield 3, he's going to have a hard conversation with someone now out of those 4 lads, isn't he? Yeah,
completely. But again, we're playing Premier League football, and it's a Premier League squad, and that's what we have now. We have a Premier League squad, and there are situations that any manager, again, it's not ideal, but it's part of the job, and it needs to be done. And over time, then conversations and that personnel will probably change throughout the season. But at this point in time, people have got the shirt, and people are keeping hold of the shirt. And again, that just breathes through the whole changing room, through the squad, and make sure that everyone fingers on the pulse and everyone's ready to go. So when a change does happen, someone comes and steps in and is ready to play at full tilt.
Just one more for you, Lewis, before I come back to Chris. That first goal, it's a great goal. I always look at the defending and kind of wonder, what are they doing when they give Chris Wood that much space? Because he does a good bit of movement. And then Max Kilman literally just stands and watches him. I'm thinking, what are you doing? But, you take that, won't you? And it was a really well-worked goal from us.
Yeah, sometimes I think we all have watched some kind of defending and stuff happen, and you think to yourself, you don't expect to see that at the highest level. But again, those things happen. But again, I think it's important today is that we concentrate on what we did and how well we did and what we created and the good points of this game. And again, that goal was one of them.
I know Chris, we could go through every player, but just on Alex Moreno, they always say don't fall in love with lone players. Kind of been waiting for that breakout attacking performance from him, and he could have had another assist, a goal today. Kind of feels like Nico did really well. Father said this as well. Nico's done really well, but Moreno's just a better player. He's made a big difference overall.
Yeah, massively, particularly going forward. Look, I think there's moments in games where he gets caught out defensively. I don't think Aina ever gets caught out defensively, it seems, but Moreno does. But in terms of attacking, he was brilliant today. And you looked at Wan-Bissaka there first half, overlapping the first 15, 20 minutes constantly. But him and Bowen were kind of getting each other's way and it wasn't working. Moreno picked the perfect opportune moments to overlap, knew when Gibbs-White had that ball, he'd find him. And then the cross for the finish was unbelievable, which is, the big moment of the game, the first goal. So, yeah, he was really good. And he lasted as well. Was he full 90 minutes? Was he? I think he was.
Moreno. He came off. No, yeah, he did play the full 90, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought his legs were gone, I'd say 60 or 70 minutes, but he lasted the full 90, which was great to see as well. And, yeah, second half, he could have had a couple of assists, like you said, as well. But, I just think he's getting better and better and better. And Nico's been knocking on the door as well. So to give that performance today is pretty special considering you're under that kind of pressure. But yeah, he was great.
Two big moments that really swung the game for me right at the end of the first half. Chris Wood off the line and then the red card. I'll ask Lewis about the red card, but I'll ask you about the off the line moment, Chris, because you messaged me at half time, said that was an unbelievable bit of play from Wood. Yeah,
amazing. And I would have, Milenkovic nearly got man of the match for me. I mean, lots of the players could have got it, but Wood gets it just for the two big moments. Scoring the killer first goal to give us the momentum and give us the lead. And then that block, a minute later, didn't they get their second yellow card? That probably wouldn't have happened. That ball goes into the back of the net. We're going in half-time, 1-1. And they're probably have 11 men and they're probably coming out a second half. So it was such a big moment. He scrambled back, got on the line, and I think it went in under his legs and wide. It's one of those blocks Murillo often does, but just really, really biggest moment of the match, I would say, easily, because it's the momentum swinger and they don't get a man sent off and it's 1-1. So yeah, it was just huge. And for me, for that moment and the goal alone, I'd be giving him man of the match. I would.
Oh, we'll come back to that. Lots of people asking in the chat about Lewis's very smart attire this evening. He's not going on a date, as someone asked. Well, he might be. I don't know after this. Who knows? But he's just in his work uniform still after being a host at the game. He was seen pitch side by lots of people. So there you go. That's why. Lewis, anything else on Chris Wood there and that contribution? And also the red card. I don't think they could have any complaints for having watched it back. But what did you make of it?
No, I think again with the block and Chris Wood, they're the moments. Like I say, they're the big moments, as Chris said. And have we in the last couple of seasons have we been on the other side of them? And the kind of game swings a bit different. And like I say, Chris's point, if that doesn't happen, it's a completely different game, a completely different second half. So again, we're on the good side of those little bit, and you need a little bit of luck along the way. You need little things to go your way, and today it did, and then they go down the other end. And I was actually walking pitch side, so I could see the sending off. I seen quite a bit of it, but again, it looked like from my angle, it was to be on a yellow card to come at that point, because if you get that wrong, there's only one outcome. Do you know what I mean? There is only one outcome, and I think again with the pace of. With Elanga, with that pace, and all he's looking to do is get that little touch there, and he's going to beat it. So again, I think that's what happens. We're down one end, and it could totally swing, and we get away with it. We get a little bit of luck, and we go down the other end, and then an incident happens, which then really takes full control of the game, and we see at the half, and then we go in half-time a completely different team talk, a completely different kind of headspace.
Yeah, the first yellow as well, referencing that, was a shirt pull on Murillo, who just showed what a good player he is again today. But not many centre-halves can bring the ball out like that with that burst of pace. And obviously, well done to him. Congratulations for being in the Brazil squad. So, yeah, and then pace as well. Chris, just on Elanga. I mean, I thought he was really good today and was probably a bit unlucky to come off. But, it obviously worked very well. But even when he's not in games, having that pace, he can be a moments player like Brennan, can't he? But he brought more to it to the table as well today, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. And also set piece wise, I thought he was quite good. I thought his set pieces were decent. Some of his corners were decent. And it's that weapon, right? He's got that pace. If he gets away, just like he did the end of the second half and caused the yellow card, you're in trouble. I think there was 3 or 4 defenders back well in line there, and they might have covered, but such is his pace. Alvarez was so scared that he took him out. So, he was really good today. And I think we took him off, actually, Matt. I reckon it was probably just to, it's protecting a pacey asset. We probably comfortably going to see the game out at that stage. I think it was a reasonably good decision. You're bringing on Jota Silva, a slightly more defensive player. Well, he's offensive as well, but he brings something different. But Elanga in general, I was really happy with today. It's a bit of a return to form for him. And yeah, he'll be delighted with the contribution he made as well.
Yeah, and he'll be fired up for the next game as well, because he looks a bit annoyed to come off. So that'll have him motivated for the next one as well. Just before we move on with the game, just a quick mention for the Rick Parfitt Jr. gig. Of course, it is on the 22nd of December. You can get your tickets from gigantic.com. And here's a little taster of what you can expect if you go along to the Trent Navigation. Good to see lots of people at Trent Nav today, by the way. Who was there? Paul Morley, Danny Tring, Mrs. Danny Tring, didn't catch her name, but good to see them both. A chap called Charlie, I think, who spoke to me for a while, and Greg Mitchell was there, unfortunately, as well. But good to see all those people and say hello to them. Right, back to the game. Half-time, Lewis. Is there ever a worry of complacency at half-time? It doesn't feel like the group that's going to have that, but is that the one thing that you might fret about a little bit, a 1-0 with a red card late in a half like that?
Possibly, but again, I think we're in such a good moment. We're in such a good kind of mentality and headspace, and that feel good factor. I think it will be more to say the lads again have a few discussions about where we make sure we don't allow them back in the game, and I think potentially we was more thinking about how do we go and kill this game off in terms of probably thinking, well, what could happen? Well, let's not be negative. And I think there was a little. I thought that there was a little bit, maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, especially the first 10 minutes of the second half, it was just a little bit, they got back into it a little bit. They had a little bit of a play. It got a bit end-to-end. The game got a little bit stretched. And it was a little bit a moment where the game was kind of going back into West Ham's hands in terms of a bit kind of gun-ho. And I think the second goal was massive. It was vital. And I think that just knocked everything out of West Ham, and it just kind of put that little bit of a push that they was trying to have. I think that just put that to bed. So I think the second goal was vital.
Was it a little bit, basketball, because they brought Antonio on, they changed a bit of shape, they put Debo in midfield, and were we kind of working out, right, this is how we're going to go about it? And, that actually just by keeping the ball and having some control was probably what we needed to do. Yeah,
there was a little bit of change. Obviously, Antonio came on, so again, a different personnel. You know that he's going to be a lot more direct. They brought on the midfield player, who's a bit more of a ball player in terms of the Alvarez, the went off. So again, they probably try to go a different way. And again, I thought for 10 minutes, I thought it was quite even. And they tried to have a little go, but again, I think that's where it's really important then to go and try and get that second goal. And I think once you get that second goal, especially when you're playing against 10 men, I think that kind of knocks the stuffing out of West Ham, and then it's a case of then now which we've seen. I think we then went and enjoyed the last part of the game, obviously the third goal, which was a fantastic finish. But again, it was, and that field goal factor in the stadium, I think we enjoyed that last part of the game, but that was, again, making sure that we put the game to bed as early as possible. And I felt that second goal did that.
Yeah, definitely. As Peter says, do us a favour and hit like on the video, and do subscribe if you haven't already. 800 people with us, which is great to see. The second goal, Chris, I was right behind it, and it looks a bit funky. I couldn't quite tell what had happened with Fabianski. He sort of dove over it. It just took a little deflection, didn't it, I think?
Yeah, it took a nick off one of the lads' heads, I think. I think it was a defender's head. I thought initially it was one of our lads, and then but I think it was a defender, and it just changed the direction slightly. Obviously, the ball's coming through a few bodies as well. Trademark Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think I was watching the commentary, and the commentator was saying, I think they're just going to roll it to Callum Hudson-Odoi here. West Ham should mark up. They didn't. And of course, Hudson-Odoi does what Hudson-Odoi does and swung it in. And you know, that's West Ham's fault. They switched off. I think Lewis is spot on, by the way. Prior to that, they were at us a bit, and the impact of their subs and their change of shape did work. But that goal did knock the stuffing out of them. And I think I don't know why they're switching off there. Anderson, brilliant, by the way, for the free kick. It was his first touch, I think, and he skinned the player on the outside and was brave again, and then won the free kick. So, you know, Anderson, instant impact off the bench. But yeah, it deflected off the defender's head, went past Fabianski. He had an all right game, actually, a couple of big saves that we'll talk about later on, I'm sure. But yeah, just brilliant goal, and great to see Hudson-Odoi back in the score sheet as well.
Yeah, massively. At full time, Adam from Red Side of the Trent podcast came up to me. I think it was him who said to me, there aren't many right backs in the league that can do what Aina did, Lewis. To hit that strike on his left foot, it feels like that goal's been coming for him a little bit. But like Adam said, there aren't many fullbacks in the Premier League that can score that goal, are
there? No, he's hit that one pure. And again, that's just the confidence seeping through the whole team, and we have players that have that ability, but also having that ability, they're now producing it. They feel like they can get into them areas, and instead of they feel like they can try that, they feel like they try and take that on. So again, I think it's just another really good sign about where this squad is at the minute.
Are you really nudging him to sign that contract now before he starts asking for another 0 on the end of it?
Sorry?
Are you asking Ola to sign that contract now before his agent asks for another 0 on the end of it, the way he's playing?
Well, like I said, he's not doing himself any harm at the minute. But again, I think the biggest thing as a football player, what you want to do, you want to be in a successful team. But the biggest thing is you want to enjoy your football. And from my opinion, I think most fans will say when they watch him play, when they see him around the place, he's quite kind of vocal on social media as well. I think he really enjoys his environment, and he enjoys being at this football club and in this city. So again, yes, of course, when contract negotiations come, he and his representative is going to try and do the best for him. But also, I think a big thing what we have in our favour that looks like he's really enjoying his football at the minute.
Yeah, he's put some funny stuff on Instagram already tonight. I've seen send them back to East London and all that stuff, dancing in the dressing room. Yeah. How many goals could we have gone on to score today, Chris? Would you say? I've written down a few here. I've got Milenkovic could have had a goal and assist and a clean sheet. Yates was. I don't know how offside Yates was, to be honest. I haven't seen a replay of that. I didn't put it in the Sky highlights. Jota across for Taiwo. Taiwo shot over the bar. Sosa shot right at the end. I mean, we could have legitimately scored 8 goals today, couldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yates' goal, by the way, Milenkovic was onside for the knockdown. It was Yates that was offside once he knocked it down, because I thought Milenkovic was the one who was offside. They drew the lines. He was onside. I was thinking, oh my gosh, Yates is going to get his goal. And then, or second goal, he got one last week, but it was actually Yates that was slightly offside. Yeah, he was unlucky. I think he knew just that he might have been offside. So yeah, Yates, Taiwo's was just over the bar. That was a close effort as well from outside the box. Ricocheted after Jota Silva's pass. Sosa, what a touch that was to bring that ball down and then whip it round the corner, almost Hudson-Odoi-esque, and Fabianski made a great save. Milenkovic was a whisker away with that header you're talking about as well. I think we could have had quite a few. To be honest, I actually like the fact there was about a 5 to 10-minute spell between the 72nd and sort of 81st minute where we managed the game really well. Didn't just chase the next goal. We sat in the corner. Yates had the ball in the corner and dug up a few minutes. Anderson did really well as well. There was just a couple of really big moments where we were really smart. And I quite like that as well. I know we're chasing goals and it's fun, but at 2 or 3-0 up with them down to 10 men, I'm happy to see the game management. But yeah, we could have had a few for sure. Like there was a lot of big chances that second half, and they were just going for broke at that stage. I mean, they didn't even really look like they were going for broke. They kind of completely air knocked out of them once they were 2-0 down. But yeah, we had many chances that second half.
Shout out to Mark, who is in the chat, Mark Southerns, who took his boy Billy to the game. First game for Billy as a Forest fan. And he says he's a fan now. It's not always like this, Billy, if you watch this, but glad
Don't bring him back down, Matt. Don't bring him back down. It is always like this. Stay with him.
Okay. It is, well, it might be this season. We'll talk about that in a minute, certainly. Do you like, Lewis, because a lot of teams would have gone into like Man City control mode there. We're 3-0 up. Let's just manage the game. Let's get players off. We were like, no, let's go score 4, 5, and 6 goals if we can. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I think we've got players and we've got, say, the squad, the subs that are coming on, and they want to impact the game. And I feel like every time the subs came on, as Chris said, I think Anderson, a little bit of trickery there, gets the free kick straight away. And these players, like I said, they're part of a squad, but every time they come on, how many minutes they get, they want to impact the game. And like on another day, possibly 2 of our subs get a goal. Do you know what I mean? So again, that just shows where we are and what they're trying to do. But again, I come back to it, which I've said quite a lot already tonight. It just shows where this squad is at the minute and where their headspace is. And we're now looking at, right, can we go and hit goals? Can we go and hit teams for 3, 4, and 5 if it's possible there, instead of maybe in the past where we've held back, we've been a little bit negative. We've thought about the kind of, we don't want to, what if this, we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about, let's go and go on the front foot as we have been and just keep on trying to improve. And it, like I said, today was a pleasure to watch. It was a pleasure to be in the stadium with the atmosphere, with the feel-good factor. And again, I think, as I said before, the only thing this great start this season was probably missing is we haven't really gone and put a real dominant performance at home yet. And again, I think today we've ticked that box and we've passed with flying colours.
I've started asking about man of the match in every game now, so I'll do it again today. There's probably 7 or 8 contenders realistically. Chris, were you saying Chris Wood, was it for you then?
For the 2 big moments, yes, but Milenkovic did so many things that, just like Aina, when he wins a tackle and does well, you notice it, or when he scores top bins, you notice it. You know, with Murillo, he showboats sometimes. He looks amazing. He's exciting. You notice it. With Milenkovic, he does stuff you don't always notice straight away. There was a period for 5 minutes that second half where Murillo stepped up and he was out of space, and Milenkovic came in, swept up from behind. Soler, West Ham's player, came on, and Milenkovic made a fool out of him twice, shoved him off the ball, won a throw in the other side. There was a lovely ball that he got forward for Jota Silva that created that chance for Taiwo, and that was a defensive ball out. He just was unbelievable. Whisker away from a goal today. So good at keeping focused as well. And you can see he's animated on his face as well. He's turning to Murillo saying, no, let's keep it alive. Let's keep focused. We don't want to concede here. We don't want to switch off. It doesn't matter that we're 3-0 up. We need a clean sheet. It's between Wood and him for me. Wood for the clearance and Wood for the goal. But Milenkovic today, if you had that highlight reel of his entire performance today, it's almost a complete performance. It was unbelievable. Signing of the season for any team in the Premier League. So yeah, I'll give it between Milenkovic and Wood. I'll split the difference, but the 2 of them will be my man of the match.
Very good. Excellent names. And I'll throw another one into the mix that people in the chat are throwing. He was my man of the match. Jason, Boynesy, Richard, and Greg Oram, Grandad, loads of people, Mart, yeah, everyone. Dominguez, for me, was just like, Yatesy was really good, but Dominguez was like the best player on the pitch, I thought, by far. Would you go with that, Lewis, or was there anyone else for you?
Yeah, listen, I think we're sitting here, it's a difficult one, but all for good reasons. I think there was so many out there, and each of them are players that have staked their claim. I agree with all of Chris' comments on the players that he chose, and again with Dominguez there, I think that him and Yatesy have got seem like they've got a real good partnership. They seem like as a two. I think what it's done, it's allowed Yatesy to be a bit more central, a bit more kind of stay in that area, and I think Dominguez's legs and his kind of body language, his work ethic, and the way he goes around. I think again he covers so much grass. Listen, it will be a tough one to pick one standout player, because I think as a collective team performance, I think it was right up there with the best of the season, really.
They're such a different pair to Sangare and Danilo, aren't they? Yates and Dominguez. I mean, Sangare and Danilo, Lewis, started the season as the first choice pair. Yates and Dominguez are doing the job better, is fair to say. But they're doing it in a different way as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and sometimes that happens, and sometimes as I've been in dressing rooms, and also being kind of now on the other side of coaching and managing. Sometimes you fall upon something what you didn't really think would maybe click. You probably was fought against it at the start of the season, and then for different circumstances that kind of happens, and it kind of just works. And again, I think if we maybe sit here at the start of the season, I don't think a lot of people was putting Yatesy and Dominguez together as a midfield two. But you look at it now and you think to yourself again, with the people coming back, it's how do they dislodge them two now of that central midfield pairing again? So it's a tough decision for the manager, but I'm sure you're rather making these decisions every day of the week. That's for sure.
Yeah, massively. Well, there was a point at the start of the season where when I looked at the fiction, I thought, God, he's going to need a win early on, otherwise he's going to be under pressure. And now look at what we're doing. It's pretty crazy to turn around. Did you want to come in there, Chris?
Yeah, just sorry, on Dominguez, you have to give credit to Nathan Joyce, who was on your podcast a few weeks ago, just before Palace, mentioned Dominguez's flexibility and how he needed a run of games, and he hoped that he could get a start and a run of games. And excuse me, he was bang on. Like, he was absolutely bang on, because since Palace, he's now cemented himself as that number 8, and his skill and his tidiness on the ball as well. So yeah, just like, I remember listening to that podcast a few weeks ago thinking, okay, Dominguez get in and he'll get his place. Well, and he did. So yeah, and it's just great to have that much competition. What happens when Sangare and Danilo come back? They won't get back in the team just yet. Who knows? But it's just great to see that competition. And Dominguez was brilliant today as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've asked you this before, Lewis, but there's must be moments in your career and every career where circumstance breaks for you. Obviously, we don't want injuries to happen, especially the Danilo one was awful. But when you get that opportunity, it's on you to take it, I guess, and those boys have done it.
Yeah, like I said, it's a real tough one, because sometimes you're always wanting your chance, and sometimes your chance comes from one of your teammates potentially getting injured, and again, you don't want to see that. But again, you want your chance, and sometimes that's how they come. But again, when that chance comes, you've got to try and take it with both hands, and I think he's done that. I think he's really put himself in kind of that conversation now of starting most games and being in that kind of top pick of central midfield players. And again, you look at the players that are potentially coming back. We talk about Sangare, we talk about Danilo. Again, we're thinking about Ward-Prowse and the players that we have, which we haven't really mentioned him. And that again, does that show again, kind of since he's come in, where this team's gone, also kind of where that midfield combination has gone, because you're looking at it probably from point of view now, I don't really see at this point in time how he gets back into the team right now. But again, I think it's a really good place to be as a fan for the football club, and this is what we've wanted since we've come back in the Premier League. This is what we wanted. We've wanted a squad like this, where we are having these kind of debates, and everyone's going to have their different opinion. But again, I think the players that whoever's coming in at this point in time are on that front foot and really at the top of the game.
Yeah, and it's great because we can ease those two players back in. You don't have to throw them, Danilo and Sangare in, and then they can come in and make an impact as well. Because when they're fit and flying, the competition's there for them to, stake a claim. So the back end of this season, I'm sure, hopefully, we'll see good stuff from them, and obviously Ward-Prowse as well. Right, just before we move on to discuss how much we dare to dream, just a quick word for our second sponsors this episode in Nottingham Window Company. I don't think we've lost a game since they signed up. So, it's not Nuno, it's the blokes who sell windows and ladies who sell windows. So if you're looking for new windows or a new door, then come in on that. Did you unmute yourself just to laugh then, Chris, or not?
Yeah, because it's just hilarious. It's the windows.
How bad my ad reads are.
No, but I'm very superstitious. So I'm with this. I'm all on board with this. The Nottingham Window Company. Go buy some windows.
Perfect advert. There you go. The link is in the description. Buy your windows, buy your doors, Nottingham Window Company. Right. I'll come to Chris first on this because it feels like, the fan thing first and foremost. We're all going to dare to dream. I tweeted as a joke on the final whistle, I hope no one sees this season as a failure when we finish second. But, it's great to be where we are. And I am looking ever higher up the table. How high are you thinking now, Chris, honestly?
I think we definitely have to be looking at top 10, right? And anything can happen over the next few weeks. That's something that we were looking at last week, the week before. We have to dare to dream. We have to. These are the important moments. We're in third right now. It's not just the grinding out the results. It's the performances. Every single game we've played this season, including that League Cup game against Newcastle or the Fulham game where we were robbed because of a bad penalty decision. Every single game I felt we were in. Every single game, away at Anfield, away at Brighton, away at Chelsea, every single game. I'm not fearing Arsenal after the international break. We have to dream. How high can we go? We can go European places. There's no question about that. We're in third right now and we're pushing. We're 9 points clear. We're 8 points clear of Man United at the moment. I think we're a good few points clear of Spurs. And these are teams that are going to be jostling for those positions. They'll come back. Those teams will come back into the frame, but I think we have to be dreaming of at least top 10 now. The expectations have gone up and we have to be dreaming of European places. It's the performances for me that are getting us by. I'm absolutely blown away by how good we've been this season. It's all down to the coaching in the preseason because we came in prepared. And after every international break, we won our game. We beat Liverpool after one. We beat Palace after the next. Hopefully after the next, we go away and beat Arsenal. I don't think it's a problem to get ahead of ourselves. We should get ahead of ourselves. This is a great moment. And I think top 10, the least of our expectations, and then European places after that.
Thanks very much to Ant from Forest Fan TV for the £2. Very generous of you, Ant. I'm sure you enjoyed the game today. Simon asks, what value do they provide? Know your product. If that's about my windows, I can know my product by looking at my windows because that's where I got them from. So for the next 20 years, hopefully, plus I shan't know my product, Simon. But thank you for giving me a chance for a second advert for them. Lewis, player's point of view. And so we're third. It's going amazing. You all have been there when we were, with Billy and flying and smashing it, and you were in that dressing room. What's your mentality right now and a player's mentality, do you think?
I think it's just, like I said, we'll be taking each game as it comes. I'm sure that's something that the manager was talking about. But if we strip it back, we're here we're where we are on merit, and we have done everything to get there. And so, like I say, we're looking in that position now. We've had performances, we've had some great results, and we're here on merit. You look at it and you think to yourself, to dream, we have to dream. This is why we go to football. This is why we have a club, we have a team, because of moments like this. And I think so. When you look back and you look at, I think Nuno again, when the Wolves team, they got Europe. He did it with them. So teams have done it. The manager's done it before. So why not? We've put ourselves in a great position. And I think the biggest thing from a fan base where I think we should look at is that there will be a moment where things maybe not go our way and we'll go through a little bit tricky period, but it's fine because we've put ourselves in a great position. And what it's allowed us to do, you always need a bit of a comfort blanket, because there will be a time where performances and maybe personnel aren't quite up to it, and you'll go through that little period. But again, let's not panic. Let's not be all doom and gloom, because the start that we've made, we've given ourselves that allowance if that happens. But again, that's if. I think where that squad is and where the club is right now, we're looking about how much can we kind of push on from where we are now. Can we continue to get results? Can we continue to get points? And can we continue to dream? Because at this point in time, if you look at that state, if you was in that stadium today, you look at that performance, you look at the kind of atmosphere around the place, I feel that we're all thinking that something special could be happening again. So again, I'm all with Chris. You know what I mean? It's time to dream. We're in a great position, and let's enjoy it.
Mark, you're making a lot of good points in the chat. Why aren't you just on the show? I don't really understand why you're in the live chat. You should have just logged on or messaged me. I thought you were on the train back for about 4 hours. But yeah, you're very correct for people who are listening. It would be interesting what Evangelos Marinakis does in January if we're still in touch with European sports, or just in general. It'll be interesting, I'm sure. Just on what Lewis said there, Chris, as well. I think you said it as well. The fact we're here on merit is probably the biggest thing, because I haven't come away from any game thinking, you know, Christ, how did we win that one? We were lucky to get out of there with a draw or anything like that. Even Brighton away, where they had a spell of pressure, I still thought it was we drew on merit. Which is that giving you a lot of hope that it's sustainable to some degree? Maybe not third place, but you know what we're seeing in general sustainable.
Yeah, definitely the performances, and something to touch on something Lewis said there about the mentality of, at the very beginning, he said, because it's obviously a sportsman's mentality of, look, we just think of the next game. And that looks like what we've been doing is preparing for the next game, preparing well, and then going at it, rather than thinking of the bigger picture and running away with it. And that's what's getting us the results. It's not a flash in the pan either. You know, I had someone come into my workplace the other day, Liverpool fan, and he goes, "You're not a flash in the pan anymore, because we're not. We're 10 games in. We're not. This isn't 3 or 4 games, top half the table. We're getting close to a third of the way through the season, and we're in third." So for me, it's the performances, it's the strategy, it's that template that Temps talked about on your podcast earlier this week of having Sosa and Jota Silva go in at a certain time, having Morata when we want to go to the back three, having Taiwo come on for Wood. It's just, we have this template working now, and as long as we can keep all those star substitutes happy doing that for now, giving the midfielders the chance to shine when the other midfielders are out, like Dominguez, keeping the squad happy, will be fine. And that's down to Nuno, that's down to the coaching staff. It's down to everyone. It's down to Marinakis, you know, backing us in the transfer window. It's down to just doing a really, really good job. And we're 3 years in now, and we look really, really good. So yeah, performance has been unbelievable, and that's the best thing. Every game I've watched, we've been in, and that's what I love about this team.
Mark is on the train, just for an update after I bashed him there, so I'll retract everything I said. This is probably, Lewis, just lastly, where the fixtures turn a little bit. I always say this, I believe in fixtures probably more than everyone else, but Newcastle at home is going to be a really good test. Arsenal away, Ipswich at home, yes, well, I'll take that one. City away, United away with the new manager, Villa at home, Brentford away, Tottenham at home. An interesting run ahead as well, but one, I guess you're just going to say, just embrace it now.
Yeah, I think definitely embrace it, but also we have to look at the other side. They'll be worried about us. All them teams that you've just think there know that they've got to play us. And again, so like I said, we're here on merit. We have got games coming up that on paper potentially could look tricky, but again, I think in the Premier League there's no easy game. And I think that's a big thing when you look at it today, especially today, you look at West Ham. These are seasoned Premier League teams that we are playing, overpowering, on top. Do you know what I mean? So there's the confidence that we should be taking. We're playing against seasoned Premier League teams that have done this for a very long time. And again, we are coming out on top. So again, yes, on paper, you look at the fixtures coming up and it can potentially be tough, but we went through that period. You look at Liverpool on paper and all that. So again, take each game as it comes. Let's have a positive week. We look forward to Newcastle. We look forward to having a positive result there. And let's control that. We take care of that, see what happens then, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, massively, massively. Right, we should probably leave it there. If you have enjoyed this, do us a favour and hit like, hit subscribe. Great to have so many people with us again for the 3rd win in a row doing this. So yeah, lovely review on iTunes and Spotify as well would be lovely. We should be back on Monday. If David Prutton is on a train watching this, do please tell me what time you're free, or if you're free as well. That would be helpful. So hopefully with Pruts and a couple of the others on Monday, and then we'll just go through the week from there. Chris, I saw Bruce was in the chat earlier about your next podcast with your co-host Matt. I messaged you the other day. He does a podcast, and at one point he said, "I've got no interest in tactics or team selection," which kind of takes out quite a chunk of it. And you had a good go at him. So when is your next podcast to not talk tactics or team selection?
Probably it's whenever he's free, because he's chaotic, as I've said loads of times. He was actually at the game today, and I think Bruce said you'd find it difficult to argue about anything in this game, but he said to me before I came on today, he said, you better do your hair for Lewis. And I was like, you know what I mean, he's obviously taking the mick out of me for not having any hair, so I can argue about that. But no, we'll probably be on, I'd say, Monday, Tuesday, and then I'll probably do a preview with some all over the world guests for Newcastle, then take a little break for the international break. But yeah, thanks for the shout out anyway, and shout out to Matt, who was at the game, who really enjoyed it today.
Lovely stuff. Chris, thank you very much. Lewis, thank you very much.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Absolutely. Come back on for next win. Yeah, we'll keep them coming. Right. Have a good weekend, everyone. If we don't see you Monday, then hopefully we shall see you soon.